All right, so I'm about to take off voice activation. Okay, so the basics of it, we'll play the video in a second, but pretty simple fight. It's gonna be a single phase. She's gonna start Alice out. We're casting poison and frost debuffs on half the raid, 50-50, so it'll be split. Everybody will have a debuff. We're gonna split up left and right. If you look at the spreadsheet, you'll see the positioning. I'm open to suggestions here. On most of the videos, you see I'm going either top to bottom on the way I have the picture oriented. I don't think we'll need that much room because the logs that we looked at were normal, and I think we're gonna kill it much quicker than 4 minutes. So we can adjust if we need to, but for the most part, we'll be dropping the pulls and the circles that I have, and then we'll have the splits with the coordinating markers. Tanks will be on the opposite side of them, Varimather style. You guys can either split or stack, and I have a suggestion for the soaking the crushing reverbs that I'll get to when we get there, but I'll make sure you guys are listening
So
to
here's an
that
example of
for
what we
the
have
tanks
for healing
opinions.
CDs.
We'll go ahead and
Right
start the
here, there's
video.
a to-do list
And
that's empty still.
if I don't have it
Ability
muted, go ahead
timers
and
that
mute
we
it.
broke
I
down through
can-
logs.
Okay, someone keeps clicking it. This shit's annoying.
Mine's still paused.
Yeah, so now I'm trying to play it
There
and
it
it keeps
goes. There we
pausing.
go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so all right, so she's gonna cast the debuffs like I said. Frost is gonna give a small ticking damage, and you'll be getting 5% reduced movement speed per stack. And in order to prevent being stunned, you need to keep moving. You'll have the bar. You can see the green one above his cast bar there. Frost one will stun you, and the poison one will. You need to limit your movement, or you'll become disoriented when the bar fills. So the poison also does a 5% reduced healing per stack. So you need to be monitoring your stacks the whole time.
If it can be useful, that makes me really happy.
The suggested amount of stacks you want to get to is 5 or 7. You want to clear around there. When you clear, it does AoE damage to the raid, so we need to be monitoring that. Same as like Rastakhan style. So you need to be aware of the raid health and cooldowns as well when you're clearing. You can see here they're being cast right now. They're getting casted on by the boss. She is giving him the thing called overflow, which after 7 seconds you will explode and share damage to everyone in there, and you split the damage. It leaves the same element type pool on the ground, and you want to try to do the best that you can to stack with the same pool, so that we can group them up and minimize the amount of movement we have to do. If you want, they mentioned on solo. I'm not sure the numbers. We can look into it if you know how to. It says they're soloable on normal and heroic, but definitely mythic will be able to stack with each other. So you want to make sure. I say it's better just to get the stacking down. So stack with a similar color, and drop it on the map or on the picture where the pools are supposed to be dropped with the circles coordinated to your color, and we should be okay there. The next thing we will have is see if I can get to this here. This video player is all finicky. I'm hitting everything like 3 times and it's not going.
You can do it, Tan.
Hello?
Hello?
Is it paused for everybody, or is it just me?
It just started playing for a second.
It's like keeps going and stopping. Oh my goodness.
Maybe reload. Just a sec. Give it.
Okay. Hello? Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see there the big green pool there. That was dropped by one of the tanks. The tanks will be getting a stacking debuff, and upon expiration of the debuff, so whoever's tanking the boss, active boss, you will be gaining stacks. The other one will be expiring. When that debuff expires, it leaves a pool on the ground according to your color based on how many stacks you have. And the recommended stacks the Fat Boss was saying was 4 to 6 stacks to manage the pool size and the damage. We may be able to go a little more, but obviously the pool size is going to be important, whether we can live through it or not. So taunt swapping, like I said, went over 4 to 6 stacks. I'm sure you guys got that all down. The crushing reverb. So every quick math. Every 20, it looks like 23 seconds for the first one. There's crushing reverbs. What it does is she'll cast on the tank. It does an AoE that is soaked between everyone within 5 yards. And also knocks back, so we can say we have the melee being able to adjust on each side, whether it's a triangle or square, whatever tank is going to be crashed. You can either have the tank shift or shift a little bit, and the melee can meet them in the middle to soak it, or we can have everybody shift. It's up to you. Or we can do what like the Fat Boss was talking about, and they had it where they had everybody stacked together on their tanks. So there was just literally 2 stack points, and that was it. But then we have to worry about parries and dodges or whatever. So I had it set up like this, and I guess we can all coordinate which one we want to do with those. As far as the next ability goes, we have so we'll be casting Overflow on random targets. The debuff will be exploding after 7 seconds. And dropping the pools, so we need to make sure we split them up so we'll be casting a thing called Inversion, which will swap the marks on people and on roughly 1/3 of the raid. And so we need to make sure that the pools are similar so that they can swap and people can use the opposite pool to drop their debuff. So when you take damage from the opposite spell of what your mark is, it's going to do AoE damage to the raid and clear your stacks. Like I said earlier, it was around 5 or 7 stacks we want to clear. We need to maintain the raid health as well. She's going to do, at 100 energy, she'll be casting an ability called Overwhelming Barrage, where she'll have a 360-degree AoE circle around her that has half frost and half poison arrow crystal fragment thingies that we need to be dodging if possible. If not, because it's kind of rough for melee, depending, especially if you have the frosty buff in your limited movement. You want to at least be soaking the same pool or class that you have, or spell type, sorry. So either frost or poison, so that you don't drop your stacks or do AoE damage to the raid, because there's going to be a lot of damage going out there, people getting hit by the stuff. So we have cooldowns assigned for those, each one, and then we have personals for one where it's overlapping with shortly after a crushing reverb. The damage will be pretty much manageable by just standard healing and personals, though. So I guess the only other thing that we have here, the video, I mean, you guys probably all watch this video, and it's kind of hard to coordinate these with the video as they go at different speeds than what I'm talking, but they'll cast an ability. Let me see if I can find it here, where it's called Frost Shock Bolts. So they'll either be targeting a frost or a poison target. It'll always be the opposite of what the bolt is going out, because they'll have frost bolts and toxic bolts. That bolt will have to be soaked by someone of the opposite spell type. So
It sounds so much like
I
Veramothras.
figured we have set up a little chart
Same
here
kind
where
of
we can
like
assign
soak
different
behind,
melee,
basically.
or maybe a mage to blink in or run in and soak the opposite side. We can have a backup as well. So basically, we'll be stacking. We'll probably be around the middle of the room on the sheet, where Skull is, and you'll either just step forward to avoid the knockback, because if you do get hit by it, or it doesn't knockback, sorry, it just pins you to the ground and does
It's
raid
right
damage.
there.
Yep.
Yeah, there he goes. Okay, so you just saw him move over away from the raid, and it
It's
was
a
soaked
blue
by.
or green arrow.
Yeah, so
Yep. Yeah, definitely some main in there too.
here shortly. Okay, right there. You can see the frost javelins on him. So then he moves over to where someone from the opposite. Well, no. That says frost
think,
javelin on the frost guys.
for the first couple bosses, Ashvane
Either
and
way,
the
we can
big
soak it
O
with opposite class, or
look
we can
like
let it go
the
through
funnels
and
to
just take
tank
the
to
raid
me.
damage and heal through
Those
it.
are the ones I'm most excited for.
I'm not sure about the numbers or whether we'll be able to take it or not. So hopefully healers will have some input on that.
This is, I think, mostly tank and spank. And
Other than that, it's pretty
Taunt
much
when your
rinse and
debuff falls
repeat.
kind of deal.
Kiting the boss, making sure you're maintaining your stacks at a reasonable amount. Remember that you take reduced healing when you have poison, so you want to be clearing by stepping into frost or taking damage by one of the frost overwhelming barrages, and then clearing those around 7 stacks. And for the most part, it's just burning her down. Pretty simple. I know I jumped all over the place, so if you guys have any questions, please ask.
I had a quick question. Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Thanks. The frost debuff, where we have to stay moving, does it work the same way as like the Witch's Council inside Blade Press, where you can just jump, or do you have to actually be moving?
That
Yes.
was something else. Okay, there you go.
Yes, you can jump.
You can just jump.
Okay.
Cool.
So, yeah, just jump or move.
Does the damage get higher the higher stacks you have, or is it the same
Yes.
Yes, it's 5% per
Yeah,
stack.
jump, jump.
Yeah, you take damage,
Which is
and then
in,
you also have
Lake
5%
Crest.
reduced healing per stack. So they do a small ticking
Second
damage.
witch, just
both-
jump.
both
If you're a
different
melee,
types.
just jump up and down.
The frost reduces your movement speed, and then the poison reduces your healing. So poison is more important to clear around 5 to 7 stack, or like around like 5 to 7, if you can. If the raid health's fine, because reduced healing is going to be tough to keep you through.
Does the AoE get stronger the more stacks you have? Like if I clear, is it like Rostricon, where if I clear at 7, it does more damage than if I clear at 4?
That I am unsure of.
Yes, if you clear with higher stacks, the larger the pulse of raid damage that goes out.
Okay. Divine?
So on this video here, it looks like the left side of her body always shoots out poison, the green, and the right side always shoots out ice, or is it randomized?
100% not sure. It's half and half, so it could be. I'm not sure if it looks like, if you said it's half
On
and half
the
here.
on the video, it looks like it's half and half, right? So if we go back, since on the green, since that's the one where you can't move a lot, right? So that's ideally where we'd want to have range classes and healers, since they're not going to require as much movement as the guys on the right being ice, where if they move too much, then they're going to get frozen into place, right?
So if I'm not mistaken, because Dan and I tanked this on PTR, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I
Holy
believe
shit.
the tanks can also rotate accordingly, if that makes sense. So once they come out, they also move with the boss's actual graphic. So if he's turn clockwise, they turn clockwise. So it'll be more the tank's positioning per our raid setup versus the entire group shifting.
Right, we're always going to want melee on the right side behind the boss, so back to the right, so ice always goes on melee,
No, it
and then the
doesn't
range be
quite
back
work
left.
that way because
Not
everyone's
as-
assigned a random color.
The marks are
And then there's inversion cast throughout the fight, so you're always gonna have be on either side. So we'll
it's like
always
the
just
Bellhounds of Sargeras, if you did in Taurus reading.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's
Well,
literally a raid's going to be split half and like if you look at the diagram that Dan has on the spreadsheet, green is literally melee is the green triangle, if you will. Skull is the boss, so melee green and melee blue are two different positions. It's not all melee on one, all melee on the other. So depending on how the circle spawns around the boss, if green is all on blue, when it comes out, for example, the tanks will walk through the boss, which will 180 flip the degrees in which the icicle shards are going out, so that it's hitting green and blue.
And I'd like to clarify on something that I had wrong. The frost shock bolt. So what it's going to do is it targets someone of the opposite mark. So if you have poison, it'll target you with a frost bolt, and you want to move over so that one of the frost guys can actually suck that. Because if you want to soak the frost bolt with a frost debuff, so that way you're not doing AoE damage with your stacks.
Thanks for the follow, man.
Looking at the diagram and also looking at the fight, since we have to clear stacks, having them so far apart might not be something we want to do. Would that be something that would be because
So
see how
that's
they
why I
have them
wanted
like
to-
close?
That's why I wanted to clarify with Tally, because he said that he doesn't want people dropping them on the entrance. That's why I wanted to clarify that before the tanks. We can scoot them closer together. We can drop one. If we wanted, we could drop the first two real close to the raid behind, just slightly behind, so we have an easy clear spot. Or, worst case scenario, we can clear with the overwhelming barrage. But we could always put them closer together.
So the tanks are going to be dropping at the front of the room, not towards the stairs anyway, because they just physically can't drop towards the stairs. It's not going to work. There's no reason we can't have two set drop spots, but there's also no reason we can't keep it to one. So, for example, you have them in the back corner, but arranged on the blue side can be fanned out, right? Against that clear wall where there's currently no marks. They can be fanned along that side of the wall, dropping blue alongside where the blue tank is going to drop them. So there's plenty of room. If anyone who tested this, there's tons of space. Obviously, it might be different on Mythic, but for the sake of Heroic, you want to drop them against the edges of the wall. Basically, Tally would drop them. You see where like the V happens, right where that arrow's pointed?
Mhm.
That's where the tanks are going to start dropping each of theirs. So blue will drop it on the blue side of that V, triangle on that triangle side of V, and they'll work their way around that crevice. So they drop around the butt cheeks. That's what we'll call it. The butt cheek line is where they drop theirs, and you
Here's
kind
the
of want to
cheeks.
have your own little butt cheeks as range. There's another one where you can see the V on the side.
Here's
You're doing the same
additional
thing. You're
butt
dropping in the
cheeks.
corner by the front stairs and working your way back.
Why don't we just stack them like Stormwall baits?
We will be stacking same colors, but
Absolutely.
not the opposite. Obviously, minimize movement, but
You might
that's
as
just
well
a
make
general
it
bad thing.
I was also going to suggest having. I assume these puddles don't disappear. Just have
So
somebody on
cheeky.
each side, a blue person and a
So
green person,
cheeky.
drop one puddle that's easily accessible, like to like the middle-ish. Then blue can touch the green puddle, and green can touch the blue puddle, and then every other one just gets far away. So then you
That's what
never
I
have
was
to
just-
worry about that.
As I was saying, we could potentially do right by the stairs. The first set of drops, we can drop them opposite of each other, right in front of where the stairs would be, in between the skull and the stairs there. And
I
to
think
comment
that's-
further,
That's probably better for Mythic, to be honest, and there's no reason we can't adapt that or try both in Heroic. So either way should work.
that
One
that
thing-
could be beneficial though, because we want to minimize any kind of contact between the two different things, right? So if people are trying to clear at the same time, there could be some overlap there. So that'd be something we could consider.
sure.
I believe the inversion cast flips the puddles as well, which is. makes
I wonder
the-
how hard the
Yes, it is.
world first guys are going with the AP grinding.
thanks.
With,
I feel like that
30,
could
though,
just be
one
such
thing
a
to be aware of at the
horrible,
start of the fight,
horrible
there could be a lot of
experience.
damage going out, just due to marks overlapping.
We'll do a prio with a 30-man raid, so we'll be generally spread when we pull the boss, because there's no rush, it's Heroic, right? So we'll have a light spread, and
It's rough.
marks will go out, and blue will have priority to get in position. Once blue is in position,
I'm putting in a
Green
good
will
amount of
go to their
hours,
side.
but
So on pull, there is a
Not-
grace
not
period
spamming
where we
diamonds
can
over and
before we
over,
get
that's
to
just too
position, so we
mind-numbing
can
for
all just
me.
stay stacked right by the stairs, and then once we get our debuffs, move left or right.
Oh, they
But
changed
for
that.
the
Okay.
for
That's
the
good.
swaps, as far as inversions go, we need to be spread for those because there is no grace period. So those will need to be spread, and we'll have to do kind of like Una, not overlapping with each other. Letting certain colors go first or whatever if we want to. And to clarify further on your
60 for Mythic
stacking
League, wow.
suggestion, you can't if you're talking about like how we bait the sea swells back on top of the other sea swells that are already down, we can't do that because it'll be giving people more stacks when they enter in. More stacks, more damage, more clearing, more AoE damage.
Yeah, I think I'll probably hit 56 as well by Tuesday.
they work.
So
kind
something
of.
on that real quick. One of the things I saw that could be really beneficial there is that on the start of the fight when nobody has a mark yet, because the green
57 by
toxic.
Mythic Watch,
If
I
you
think
have that,
is
the more you
reasonable.
move, the more damage you take, the more stacks and everything.
Very much.
A lot of groups were getting together and stacking in the green area as one big group before the marks come out because you do have that grace period, and then only the frost people move over. That way, the toxic actually never move.
It's
Good.
beneficial. Yeah, they'll
Good.
lower the amount of movement for the bar.
Yeah, that just stops a lot of initial stacks.
Not
I
100%
like that.
sure how hard it is to let the bar deteriorate, and I don't know if it loses power or if it slow how fast it increases. But I mean, any kind of movement decrease there would be nice.
Yeah, it's just a good way to. That way, they're always like right where they need to be at the start, so they don't have to scramble and get any extra stacks right at the start.
Mhm.
Only other thing I wanted to add is that also it looks like right now with the dungeon journal and just the way the damage is on the logs that we've been reviewing as tanks, is that with a strong personal or with an external from healers, the tank soaks might just be like solo soaks the way maiden soaks were. And if that's the case, we'll just, as a tank, we'll point ourselves to where we're punted away, and then we can go run and drop while the other tank taunts, and the melee will never get knocked back, and so they can just stay always hitting the boss.
I won't have access to this on Heroic Week, but I'm not sure if Holy Word will prevent, or Holy Ward will prevent that knockback because it wards against a loss of control effect.
Hmm.
So that might be something I would test on the tank that was tanking.
Maybe
You were
that we'll
suggesting solo
probably
soaking
be
again?
using. Yes, a lot of people are just talking about solo soaking it the way that you did like maiden soaks in Tomb of Sargeras, so that you didn't have to have people stack with you.
Right.
Would that still work on Mythic?
It did on Mythic.
Probably, because that's how we did
Oh, that
our
was fun.
Mythic Maiden. You just
Tanking
use
Mythic Maiden,
strong
Yeah.
personal cooldowns
That
or
was a lot of
externals
fun.
from healers,
Okay.
and that should lower significant raid
That's the
damage
Murdog.
and also keep a lot of uptime from melee. And we can even use the knockback as the tank to kind of punt ourselves out to get to our spot where we want to drop our puddles.
But everyone gets knocked back anyway, right?
Anyone that
I
soaks.
believe it's only the people that soak. So
Okay.
if it's just the tank, he'll be the only one that gets knocked back. And when the other tank taunts, that means that melee will lose no uptime.
I want to look into that. I thought that possibility said everyone just gets knocked back.
We can confirm, no biggie, if that's the case, and we just get knocked.
I mean, regardless, it's great for melee, and so they don't get parried and all that other nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I want to confirm that first.
So healing cooldown. What?
The entire raid gets knocked back
Sorry.
according to
I'll
Fat
set up
Fox.
a-
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll set up a bar on this little chart on the to-do list. Assign individual.
So we'll
externals
have
and
this
maybe a
session
personal for
tonight.
the
We'll
tanks,
do
the
Monday
soaks
night,
for the rebirth.
Tuesday morning whenever servers come up. That's Tali's alt
We decide to use it.
normal mode raid.
In
As
regards
soon
to
as
the
servers are up
energy
in the
bar that
morning,
fills
I'm going to
up and
be
goes
taking
down,
that with
it's
him,
instant as soon as
just
you
like we
stop
did in
moving.
Old Year, just like we
Or the
did in
other side,
BOD.
it starts dropping down as soon as you start moving.
So I'm looking forward to that. Get a little pre-exposure in,
Think of Tol'Degor last boss.
then week 1 starts.
Also, I'm pretty sure people said if you use like an immunity, like turtle or bubble or something, whenever it fills or depletes.
I think there's
all
some
the way,
unofficial race between
it
him and
shouldn't, like,
Asmongold.
the effect shouldn't happen. But that might end up getting changed. I don't know.
I know Cloak and things were removing debuffs as well, and I did find tanking on a Blood Decay that AMS would negate
AMS
stacks,
usually
and you were able
removes
to
them.
reset them. So on
Nice.
Blood, you could basically vamp with AMS and just eat enough damage where you could reset your stacks and hold it for days.
It's not a
Would that
magic
drop the puddle right at your feet, though?
Yes. So you need to make sure you drop off to the side.
Yeah, I had that issue because it works the same with spell warding and bubble for paladins, and I would the first few attempts I ended up putting pools in the middle of the raid because the timer just kept going.
Right.
So not a whole lot of advantage to it, but certainly if you lose a tank, there's some advantage to paladins as well as DK.
So healing cooldown wise, it looks like we're planning to do the majority of our debuff clearing during overwhelming barrages. So if we are finding that we are having too many people clear between those points, between those 40-second intervals, is that going to be something that we have cooldowns that we could use for, or some sort of adjustment we'll need to make cooldown wise?
Potentially, but that's what we're going to have to gauge with our stacks is how much can we clear safely that normal healing throughput covers.
5 a.m. for you.
Because on the log, at least that we looked at.
Where do you live? Hawaii?
Like, honestly, like the majority of the damage was from overwhelming barrage, and regular healing should just cover everything. But I didn't see, like.
I mean, I'm in San Jose. That's fucking early.
Well, the barrage would be causing people.
I think
stack
it's
up.
8,
That's
right?
why I
8
was just
o'clock?
Curious if we're like, okay, it's
8 a.m.
fine. If, like, I guess that scan's right. We have to judge how many stacks is reasonable. Because if we're going into that with 7 stacks and that's wiping us because there's just too much explosion happening with overwhelming, then do we need an earlier clear? I guess is what we need
That's
to judge.
something we can check on logs from testing. Maybe put that as a to-do in there.
Yeah,
Any
early, but
questions
it's not
about
5 a.m. really.
I mean, it's the first boss, so it should be relatively straightforward.
I think it's gonna be an easy burn.
I think you're correct. Alright. Let's get rolling with Radiance of Ashara. If you could link the video in Death Justice channel and who from that group is going to be presenting for.
Don't all speak up at once.
I can, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care who does it. You're walking us through basically what you guys.
How do I do this? The video thing?
You just take the video and link it in Death Justice chat, and Kramer will make it